This is Polish Air Force Association, the Eagle Club 35th anniversary, which we celebrate tonight. The first chairman of the club was Mr. Ivanovich, but tonight he is indisposed and couldn't be attended to this function. At present, we have new committee, and first the chairman of this committee is Mr. Ted Ruman, which I will call to me. Could you come forward? This is Mr. Ruman, our chairman. Mr. Ruman has a good, very valuable history during the war. He flew over to Warsaw to bring help to fighting people in Warsaw. This is his lady, Mrs. Ruman. Mrs. Ruman is also member of the ladies committee in the club. Mr. Ruman, Mrs. Ruman, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now I am introducing Mr. Martens, our vice chairman. Mr. Martens is also the headpin of the transport which going to Poland and delivers goods for people in need. This is Joan, Mrs. Martens, and she is helpful because every time he is busy in the club, the dinner is always on the table. Is that right? Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Second vice chairman is Mr. Alek Brise. Mr. Alek Brise is a very old member of our committee of the club. Many, many years he has been very helpful with his advice, with his work, and at present he is also the entertainment officer in the club. His wife, John Brise, Dorothy Brise, I'm sorry, Dorothy Brise, she is chairman of ladies section of the club. And ladies section of the club help our committee to run the club, to help financially by organizing many functions and entertainment in the club. Thank you, Mr. Brise and Joe. Thank you. Doro. That's a must. Now, this is our honorary treasurer, Mr. Wąsiński, but he adopted his English name, Mr. Vernon Wentworth, for easiness of pronunciation. He's working very hard at the moment, especially organizing today's functions. And this is his wife, Mrs. Wentworth, Jill, and she is also the member of the ladies section, doing good work for helping to gain finances to keep the club going. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, I am next honorary secretary. I only introduce my wife. My wife is also secretary of the ladies section of the club, and my wife's name is my dear Hilda. Thank you. This is Mr. Stadnik. He is the welfare officer of our branch of Polish Air Force Association branch. He also organizes help for people, ex-Air Force people in need. He brings them help, brings them good work and good help if they are in need of it. Also visiting our sick friends in hospitals and attending to many functions as funerals and others function needed in his welfare activities. Thank you. This is Mrs. Stadnik, Pat Stadnik, and she also very long time ago, she also was very, very active in our club, in ladies section and other functions to bring entertainment and company for the members of our club. Thank you, John. Thank you, Mr. Stalin. Thank you. Here you are. Next is our member of the committee, Jan Kravchik. Jan Kravchik, for many, many years, has been a member of the committee. He used to carry on different functions, welfare, entertainment, helping in many ways to keep the club going. This is John.
No, Mary.
Mary, his wife. Yes, she is also helping, and helping also with organizing ladies section function. Thank you very much, Jan and Mary. Now this is Stan Spencer. Stan Spencer is a member of our committee. He's also the leader of the standard bearers. He's in charge of having our standards play and parades in any function in town. He's also the liaison officer with ATC, Leighton Squadron. He's helping them to organize many functions. Lately, there was a function presentation of awards in our club, and Mr. Stanley rather helped them to organize that function and helping them in any way he can. Thank you. Now, Dorothy, good job you tell me so, because I have so many names to remember. And Dorothy also helped in running the function with Stanley for in cadets and also in the club ladies section. Dorothy also is a member of the staff of the premium saving bond. Thank you very much, Stan. Now, least but not last, but the first, our member of the committee, Mr. Ilas. Again, he always been very active, helping in committee, especially he used to run the Polish cadets, or scouts rather, Polish scouts. Of course, in time, the children grew out, and at the moment, sorry, but we haven't got them. But Genek, Mr. Ilas, still is in contact with Polish scouts in England. This is Carmen, his wife. Carmen is a member of ladies section, very active member, and Carmen likes to play bridge, and she is a good player, aren't you? And also, yes, Mr. Ilas is a liaison officer with the young Polish generation which are meeting in our club. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Ilas and Carmen. Thank you very much. You're having a busy evening.
Yes, yes. Good evening. Efficiency quite well, sir.
Beautiful silver black.
Hello, madam. How are you doing?
Very well.
So we've got Stanley at the back side.
Sit down here. See how we are. Eileen, did you say your seat?
The last letter in the alphabet.
That must be over on this side.
Oh, do we know where it is? We followed some.
It's all a mix-up. Arthur?
As you probably please be upstanding for the chairman, Tadeusz Ruman, EFM, and Mrs. Ruman. Accompanied Mayor and Mayors of Blackpool, Reverend Father, Air Chief Marshal Sir Frederick Rosier, GPV, and Lady Rosier, Air Vice Marshal Alexander Meisner, CP, ASP, and Madam Meisner, Mr. Reginald Don, MPE, and Mrs. Don. Chairman, Your Worship, Lady Mayoress, Your Excellency, Air Chief Marshal Sir Frederick Rosser, Air Vice Marshal Alexander Meisler, Mr. Reginald Don, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Pray silence for Reverend Father who will say grace. Please be upstanding.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. For a moment, let us recall the presence of God and think of our friends and relations who are absent. Lord, bless this food which we are about to receive through your goodness and kindness. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Thank you, Father. Your Excellency, Air Vice Marshal Alexander Meisner, Mr. Reginald Don, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Pray silence for Air Chief Marshal Sir Frederick Rosser, GCD, CBE, DSO, who will propose toast to His Excellency President Kazimierz Sada. Please be upstanding. May I have your attention, please?
Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, Republic of Poland, coupled with the President of the Polish government in exile.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. Mr. Reginald Don, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Pray silence for the Chairman, Tadeusz Roman, PFM, who will propose toast to the County Borough of Blackpool. Thank you.
Because I never had a proper mic yet. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Your Worship the Mayor, Lady Mayoress, Reverend Father, Your Excellency, President, Air Chief Marshal Sir Frederick Rosier, Air Vice Marshal Alexander Meisner, Mr. Reginald Dunn, most honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor and a pleasure to have been called upon to propose this toast, the Borough of Blackpool. We are very proud to have as our guest this evening the Mayor, Councillor John Lander, and his wife, the Lady Mayoress, to whom we extend a hearty welcome. During the past 45 years, the Borough Council have been most helpful and encouraging to the Polish community, or when we arrived here in 1940 without even the knowledge of the English language, but nevertheless full of vigor and determination in our continuing fight for the common cause, we found ourselves amongst people who were most hospitable and full of sincerity towards us. The spirit of Blackpool motto, progress, has never shone more brightly than at that time, and this we shall never forget. At the end of the war, the citizens of this country accepted us and made us feel part of the British nation. And during the immediate years after the demobilization, when we were in the process of integrating and establishing ourselves into the local community, the help from Blackpool residents was an inspiration to us all. For that, Your Worship, I wish to express our gratitude to you and your councillors, both past, like Alderman Clifford Cross, and present, and all the people of Blackpool for the help and assistance that has been given to us on behalf of the members of the Polish Air Force Association Blackpool branch, and indeed all the Polish community. I sincerely say thank you. It now gives me a great pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to ask you to rise and join me in this toast. The Borough of Blackpool. Borough of Blackpool.
I will go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Reverend Father, Your Excellency, Air Chief Marshal Sir Frederick Rosier, Air Vice Marshal Alexander Meisner, Mr. Reginald Don, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Pray silence for the worshipful, the Mayor of Blackpool, Councillor J. Lander, JP, who will respond. Thank you.
Reverend Father, Sir Frederick, Air Vice Marshal, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my wife and I are so delighted to be here with you this evening on this very special day. The Polish Club has become, in our town, much a part of our community. We tend to think nowadays to forget that the Polish community had the difficult task at the end of the war to stay and adjust. But you were determined to be a part of our town, and this was so obvious that the townspeople of Blackpool took you into their hearts and gave you a warm welcome. The Polish Club is now spoken with great sincerity, and it is a part of our town. For many of you today, especially, your thoughts will be with family and friends still in Poland. May I, on behalf of the townspeople, join with you in wishing them well. We thank you for the contribution the Polish community has made to our town, and we wish you success, good health in the coming year. Now, ladies and gentlemen, would you like to take wine with me? Would you pick your glass up, take wine with me? And let me say probably very few words that I know of Polish there, and it is the Nazdrovia, which is...
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Your Worshipful, Lady Mayors, Reverend Father, Your Excellency, Air Vice Marshal Alexander Meisner, Mr. Reginald Don, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Pray silence for Air Chief Marshal Sir Frederick Rosier, GCD, CBE, DSO, who will propose toast to the Polish Air Force Association.
Your Excellency, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen. I've already said, Your Excellency, Mr. Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, and I'm not going to repeat it. But I stand up to propose a toast to the Polish Air Force Association. But before I do so, I'd like to make a couple of points. First of all, I was delighted to hear the sentiments of your local chairman about Blackpool itself. I was somewhat surprised that I don't know how the people of Blackpool looked at me, or maybe didn't look at me, when I brought my squadron up to speak at the beginning of 1941 from the south, And I used to come to Squires Gate with 2 or 3 of my chaps. The other 3, incidentally, were sergeant pilots. And we used to fly at night from Squires Gate to try and intercept all those aeroplanes which were en route attacking Liverpool. They probably heard me. Some of them said, "Oh dear, I don't know what." Mr. Mayor, you might tell me a little later what they thought. But now, the other point is that I must say thank you very much to all of you for inviting me and, of course, my wife to this function. We've had an association with the Poles, and I won't say the Poles anymore, I'll say with you, for a long, long time. We've got to know many of you. And perhaps I can say that maybe one of the highest things I could say about that association is that over the last couple of years, I've been having a coat of arms designed before I get installed in Westminster Abbey. And as one of the supporters of that coat of arms, one supporter each side, the supporter on the right-hand side is the Polish eagle. So as far as my family and so on is concerned, that coat of arms with the Polish eagle will go down to posterity. My first association with the Poles was in 1940, when I went to Norfolk, took over a squadron. I'd been in hospital most of that summer, having been shot down in France, but they made me fit again, beginning of October, and down I went to Norfolk and took over a squadron. I had a couple of Poles in my own squadron, Stefan and Pokłowski, and there was also a Polish squadron there.
302.
302.
Yes,
that's me. But we didn't get terribly close. And the reason was, well, natural. You didn't speak English. And so it was only natural that we should get together, you know, with our own kith and kin. But I did do something in those days which might have helped a certain chap. And incidentally, if he's here this evening, I want him to come up to me afterwards and say thank you very much for what I did. And the story is this, that one day I was at dispersal with the squadron at readiness, and all at once the telephone went, and the acting station commander, a chap called Vass, rang me up, and he said, Rosie, he said, I want to see you, come and see me. So I went to see him, and he said, something terrible happened last night, he said. Do you know, one of those Poles came in a taxi, and he got a woman hidden in the taxi. And he got that woman up to his room, and several hours later the bell rang in the backman's room, and it was persistent, and the backman eventually got up, and he went up to this bedroom and knocked on the door, and the voice said, come in. And the Pole standing there said, we would like breakfast for 2, if you please. Well, the story had got to that station commander, and then, not being a very strong station commander, he looked at me and he said, what are we going to do about it? So I suggested we bring the senior Pole in, and the senior Pole was brought in and was told the story, and then Vass said to him, what are you going to do about it? And the senior Pole with a gleam in his eye said, Wing Commander Vassy said, it is too easy, we will shoot him. Whereupon Vass leapt up from his desk, got him and punched him, banged him on the back, and he said, but my dear chap, he said, you can't possibly do that, you're in England now. Now, the fact that I was with Vass and had moderated that time may have stopped that chap from being killed or from being bumped up. All that happened to him, he was confined to camp for a couple of weeks, and so it all ended happily. But my thought you would be interested in that somewhat amorous But my main association with the Poles started in 1943 when I became station commander of North Belgium. Had a most difficult time with 3 Polish squadrons there. Terribly difficult. We had a pig farm there, and my squadron leader, admin, a chap called Levy, used to come to me on occasions and say, we lost another pig last night. And I would say to him, Fred, don't worry. In 2 days' time, I'll be invited to a Polish squadron party and have Polish sausage. But you are a difficult lot of chaps. But you know, it was more than compensated for by the fact that you were a determined, valiant lot of chaps. And with that marvellous wing commander I had there, Gapshevich, it all worked beautifully. And it was at that time that I began to almost began to think somewhat like you. And the time went on. To the end of the war and beyond that, where I saw, the wing all through Europe and so on. And then was very pleased to be associated again. Well, I'm a long way, aren't I, from the Polish Air Force, the association. When it became clear that most would not go back to Poland because Poland was no longer free, and decided that you'd stay in this land that you'd known a bit, foreign land, either stay here or go off to somewhere else in the free world. When that became, you knew it, it was then essential that something could happen so that you would be able to meet each other and get strength from each other in this difficult time that was going to get on. And there were some very wise people then who got together and who decided on the Polish Air Force Association. And it's worked wonders through the years. Look at this kind of thing that's happening this evening. On the other hand, of course, we've got to face it that there are problems. It's, 41 years since the association came to pass, came into being. Death has taken its toll. Lots who are now getting older and can't do things. Benevolent Fund does what it can for them. But there are other problems, and there are great problems to be faced, and it'll require quite a lot of boldness. And I sincerely hope that in the decisions that come, that strong Polish Air Force Association regional centres such as Blackpool, and the members of it will remember and will come generally and support what might happen in the future. And the president of the Polish Air Force Association, Marshal Mesner, is only too aware of these things. Well, I think that's probably about all I should say, other than I've noticed with interest the last few days, weeks, that this is the 30th anniversary of the Hungarian Rising. And I note also that several, what they call dissidents, damn sillyism, several of those so-called dissidents have got together from Poland and East Germany and Hungary and Czechoslovakia and have signed a declaration going back to that thing. And I also note, of course, what has been happening in Poland over the last few years with Solidarity and the growing influence, if anything, of the church in Poland. And I think one could say, as one looks into the future, that as clearly as night, as day follows night, that the time will come again when there'll be a Poland restituta and a free Poland. Well, that is all. And now, please, would you stand up and drink to the Polish Air Force Association, coupled with its president, Air Vice Marshal Mesner.
Mr. Chairman, Your Worship, Lady Mayors, Reverend Father, Your Excellency, Air Chief Marshal Sir Frederick Rosier, Mr. Reginald Don, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, pray silence for Air Chief Marshal Alexander Meisner, CPE, AFC, President of the Polish Air Force Association, who will respond.
Reverend Father, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, proceed to have a slightly noisy one. Before I express my response, as I am required to by the program, to your very kind toast to the Polish Air Force Association, Sir Frederick, I should like to express my own congratulations to the Blackpool branch of the Polish Air Force Association on their 35th birthday, and to thank them very much for all the good work they have done over the years and are still doing to the Polish community here and in Poland, and also to the Polish Air Force Association. I should also like to congratulate them on their most perceptive choice of you, Sir Frederick, as proposer of the toast to the Polish Air Force Association. Because I cannot think of anyone else who epitomizes more clearly than you do the relationship between the Polish Air Force and the Royal Air Force, both during the war and since. You, sir, led us into battle against the common enemy in World War II. But whilst doing this, you also concerned yourself with our training, our welfare, and all those factors which command and involvement implies. You're concerned about us, and your warm understanding of our problems and of our needs extended over the years of peace. You remain closely involved with us. Indeed, you are just about to launch the sixth appeal as appeal chairman, for which we are most grateful. Similarly, our relations with the Royal Air Force were not limited to us fighting together on the right of the line in World War II. When the history of the Polish Air Force in World War II comes to be written, and I very much hope that this will happen before long, it will, I am sure, lay particular emphasis on the tremendous thought, care and attention to detail which were given to the formation of the Polish Air Force on British soil. This was not just a question of using trained manpower to plug the holes in the cockpits and in the hangars. We were given a comprehensive basis embracing every Air Force branch and trade, a sound training organization both for air and ground crews, and an efficient staff. I have no doubt that had we had the good fortune to return to Poland after the war, we would have done so with a most effective and efficient Air Force. Alas, this was not to be. But in the same way that you have maintained an interest in our fortunes after the war, so the Royal Air Force has also maintained and continues to maintain a very warm and generous attitude towards us. There is no better evidence of this than the sequence of our visits to Royal Air Force stations during the past 5 years. 2 visits to the Royal Air Force Staff College, a tornado base, a Harrier base, a helicopter base, the Royal Air Force College at Cranwell, culminating with our recent visit to Royal Air Force Germany and Royal Air Force Wildenberg. It is not only that we are allowed to visit Royal Air Force stations, that we are given presentations on the latest aircraft and the latest state-of-the-art in air operations. It is not that we are allowed actually to touch aircraft, sometimes even to fly in them, to smell the kerosene. It is much more than that. It is the warmth and the welcome extended to us, the generosity of the hospitality wherever we go, which give us the grand feeling that the ties which bind us are, despite the passing of the generation, as strong as they were during the war. I suggest to you, ladies and gentlemen, that these 2 symbols placed next to each other are not just the artist's fancy. They represent a significant and deep relationship which will last for many years to come. Thank you again, Sir Frederick, for your toast. We are delighted to have you here and Lady Rosie here with us, and we wish you all the best for the future.
Ladies and gentlemen, in appreciation of what Air Chief Marshal Sir Frederick Rosier done to us, we would like to sing for him our very famous song. We would like to wish him 100 years of healthy and long and happy life. 100 lat, 100 lat, niech żyje, żyje nam. 100 lat, 100 lat, niech żyje, żyje nam. Jeszcze raz, niech żyje, żyje nam. Niech żyje nam. He is jolly good fellow, he is jolly good fellow, he is jolly good fellow. And so say all of us, and so say all of us, and so say all of us, that he is jolly good fellow, for he is a jolly good fellow, for he is a jolly good fellow. And so say all of us. Hip hip hooray! Hip Marshal Sir Frederick Rosier, Air Vice Marshal Alexander Meiser, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, pray silence for Mr. Reginald Don, NDE, National Vice President of Far East Prisoners of War, who will propose toast to members of the Blackpool Eagle Club.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor, distinguished guests. First of all, I'd like to thank my parish priest, the Reverend Father Fultz, for the amazing grace. Mars. The second thing, over there, I can see Councillor Henry Mitchell, who's the chairman of the cleansing department. The previous speaker mentioned he's the dustbin. It would appear I'm the sweeper up. So Henry, you've two good lads for Monday morning. Now, when your chairman, Mr. Ruman, asked me to do this job, I was puzzled. I thought, well, I know I'm cheap. You can't go cheaper. I thought that's easy, but that wasn't the reason. What I must tell you is that your chairman is a student of Shakespeare. And one of his favourite tragedies is Macbeth. Now, I wasn't aware of this, but it appears that in Macbeth, I figure 3 times in 2 lines. And if you will listen carefully, it is the intent of my speech. And I'll have to read it because I can never remember it. And this is what it says. If 'twere done when 'tis done, then 'twere well it were done quickly. Of Polish hospitality, and I couldn't have repeated that. By the way, before I go on to the main toast, there are 2 things I've got to clear up. When I was with Prince Charles earlier this year, we often meet, people think he said, give my regards to Ted Ruman. What he actually said was, he's a bit of a Geordie, you know, Prince Charles, and he was coming up to the lights, and he said, is there any room, man, in the Blackpool there? Another thing that is true is that when we had a national reunion a few years ago, and Alec Breezer was there as one of our guests with his lovely wife, and I introduced them to Mountbatten, and of course immediately Alec put me down. Now he said to Mountbatten, I believe your grandmother knew my grandmother. That's true. Well, Alec, to your credit, you had a grandmother that knew Mountbatten. But the serious part of the business, I must say, that one question I'm asked, I must give a plug for my association, I don't want Councillor Holland to cry, but the one question I'm always asked as a Far East prisoner of war, they always say, how did you survive those hell camps in the Far East? There were 2 reasons, gentlemen. One, an implacable hatred of our captors for the humiliation and degradation they put us through. That was number 1. That was a driving force. But also, we knew we were going to come home and drive you all mad with these stories, but we had our families to come back to. My wife, of course, was only a young girl then, so she won't remember these dreadful days. But when I came back, my mum and dad had to listen to me going on and on. But always in the camps, we knew we were going to come back to a homeland. Now, to the credit of you wonderful Polish gentlemen, you fought, but you'd no homeland. You to come back, as the previous speakers have mentioned, you'd no real roots. And you had to put down these roots, and the Mayor mentioned it, he stole my speech terribly, but as has been said, you to put down roots in Blackpool. It is true you were taken to the bosom of many English families. I'm not sure whether I mean that literally, metaphorically. I'll leave you to judge that. But you know homeland, but to your eternal credit, gentlemen, you had those seeds of comradeship. I can go back to Jenkinson's, Greville School. Alec Breezy gave me a 10-shilling note. Old Miss Buxton, people like that. I can go back to those days. I refuse to go back to my wife's days, a few years before that. Indeed, but then you founded that magnificent club, the Eagle Club. I've been there since it was founded, 52. When you had that wonderful accordion player and all the rest of it, the fireplace and all that. Marvellous days, gentlemen. I don't know how you can continue those days. As the speaker here said, you've got the future to face, just like prisoners of war. You're a dying breed. How are you going to solve those problems? That's up to you, and I'm sure you will, knowing you. You're so good at it. What annoys me, gentlemen, and we have here with us tonight the President of the Liaison Committee, the Chairman of the Liaison Committee, and here we are, and your club is the envy of every ex-service association in this town. With due respect to Mr. Mayor and the British Legion, your club is the best, must be. 20 ex-service associations meet there. So you've got something to offer, gentlemen, and your ladies, of course. So do carry on the good work. You're doing a wonderful job. And for this, we must thank you all. I have a little bit of poetry, I think. I think it is. The soul of Poland is indestructible. She will rise again like a rock which may for a spell be submerged by a tidal wave, but which remains a rock. That's the spirit you've got, lads. Keep it up. Don't let those Muscovites win. You're going to win in the end. And so, Mr. Chairman, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, may I ask you to stand and drink a toast to that advanced outpost of Western civilization, the Eagle Club, Blackpool. That's right.
Mr. Chairman, Your Worship, Lady Mayors, Reverend Father, Air Chief Marshal Sir Frederick Rosier, Air Vice Marshal Alexander Meisner, Mr. Reginald Toll, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Pray silence for His Excellency President, who wishes to say a few words.
Mr. Chairman, Your Worship, the Mayor, distinguished guests, Air Chief Marshal Sir Frederick, Air Marshal Meisner, ladies and gentlemen, comrade in arms of both sexes. We are nearing 12 now. But I don't think I will take that much time. First of all, I wanted to congratulate my speakers who spoke before me, and I hope that the Mayor of Blackpool spoke on behalf of mayors of many towns in this country where Polish ex-servicemen settled after the war.
I could even enlarge that because during my office terms I traveled around the world, in Australia, Canada, United States, South America, everywhere there, people like those here form the clubs and they are welcomed in all countries. I want to refer to Sir Frederick's comments. I can assure you, Sir Frederick, that those men who committed such a gross crime at that time, fortunately they were not shot. The Battle of Britain would have lost a few good pilots. But I can assure you that they did reform. Today, I'm sure none of them would dare to do the same. And if he did, his missus would be waiting for him at the door with a broom. I wish to express the recognition and thanks to this club in Blackpool. As I said, there are many clubs, but from my observation, I think this is the best of all the clubs. And therefore, I congratulate you. I congratulate you on your work. And although we are getting on in years, I hope you will continue, because this is not the end of the road yet. That leads me to another subject. The life, the real life, is more strange than the fiction. When I was, before my university days, doing my national service in the Polish army, I never thought that in a few years' time I will be fighting in France, but even more, that we ever put our foot on an English soil. That was a far remote country, and yet within a few years the Polish army was recreated, Polish armed forces were recreated in France and then in England. Who of us here could have ever expected that we will be fighting together with the Royal Air Force, with the Royal Navy, with the British Army? Who could ever foresee that we will be unable to return to our own country? The beginning of British-Polish relations, friendship, trust, I personally refer to the day, exact day and time of the day, September the 3rd in the afternoon, when for 3 days Poland was facing the Blitzkrieg and we were waiting for Britain to keep the Treaty of Mutual Assistance concluded earlier between British government and Polish government. Will they come or will they not? There was such an anxiety. On September the 3rd, the Parliament met. Britain declared the war on Germany. Huge crowds of people gathered in front of the British embassy. You can't describe the enthusiasm, the feelings which I witnessed there. I remember that, and I will remember that until the end of my days. That was the hope. Unfortunately, the war which started in defense of Poland ended in the victory to the Allied camp the victory, which was the day of greatest misfortune for Poland, the first ally. In Tehran and Yalta, Poland was sacrificed by our true friends to Stalin in the hope that this will buy the peace for the world. I'm sure that sacrifice was a hard decision. I will not qualify it. It was described by Mr. Macmillan, who was later Prime Minister, as an abandonment. Other people used stronger words, but I refrain from repeating them. The fact is that this sacrifice was made, but that sacrifice, besides being immoral, was worthless, because soon afterwards the Cold War started, and there is, after 40 years, no true peace in Europe and in the world. What sort of a peace is it when 40 years after the end of the hostilities, there are still British and American armies standing in the heart of Europe facing the Soviet army? Is that a true peace? We all remember a few days what happened in Reykjavik. There is armament race going on, and there is no hope that this will end soon, although we would all very much wanted this to happen. There was a natural bitterness amongst Poles who had to settle in the free world, a great number in this country. But there is one happy and fortunate thing. There is a genuine brotherhood in arms with people who served in the same war, with ordinary people. And when we meet members of parliament, they say, I served with the Polish forces, I served with the Polish Air Force. We know that they are genuine friends of Poland, and when I'm saying Poland, I mean all countries of Central Europe, because we are all together. Those are ordinary people, and we cherish their attitude, and the presence of Sir Frederick here is a symbol of that attitude, of those genuine, true, disinterested feelings of friendship. I take this opportunity to thank publicly all those very, very numerous friends which we've got in this country. Let me finish again on the political note. I think 40 years which passed have proved one thing. There is no true peace in Europe, and consequently in the world, without the countries of Central Eastern Europe regaining their freedom. The freedom of those countries, Poland the largest amongst them, the most tried, the fate of those countries decides at this century, at this time, about the future of Europe. And the peace in Europe decides about the peace in the world. And therefore, our task is not finished. But until the end of our days, being the loyal, in most cases, subjects of Britain, Canada, United States, other countries, we will serve the cause of Poland, and in this work we will count on our true friends whose friendship started in the battles. Thank you for inviting me to this happy occasion, and thank you for your friendship.
Your visit, Excellency, as a great honor and privilege to us, which is very much appreciated. Thank you very much indeed, Your Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, that conclude the speeches, and dancing will follow almost immediately after we remove the main table. Thank you very much.
gdzie świeci migolisko, zapatrzenie wyjazdą. Lubię ujrzeć te walki do mnie, który spadł na 11 gwiazd. Serce biło nieprzytomnie, potem czekać mi jeszcze czas domowy. Może dzień.
So on the order 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Keep smiling through, just as you always do, till the blue skies drive the dark clouds far away. So won't you please say hello to the folks that I know, tell them I won't be long. They'll be happy to know that as I saw you go, we were singing this song. We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day.
Forget about what you really did for 1 year. You mounted to be there, you want to go with your body. You must watch
Before we finish, we have to play national anthem. First play Polish, then play English.
Thank you.
Dziękujemy, dobranoc.